Chapter 8 Animations in Flash. In the chapter, Grouping, Timeline, Frames and Layers, Animations, Shape Tween, Motion Tween, Frame by Frame, Testing and Playing a Movie, Saving as a Movie. Animation made it possible to move still images, giving the concept of moving, running and bouncing cartoons. Adobe Flash CS6 is very effective software for animating still images. Learning to create animations in Flash is incomplete without understanding the basic concepts of animation such as grouping, timeline, frames and layers. Grouping. Grouping is used to bind many objects together and treat them as a single object. Once the objects are grouped, we can easily select and move the drawing, the new shape formed after grouping the objects, as a whole. To group the objects, 1. Select the first object using the selection tool from the Tools panel. 2. Press the Shift key and without releasing it, click on the second object. 3. If there are more than 2 objects to be selected, then select all the objects one by pressing and holding down the Shift key. 4. On the menu bar, click Modify, Group or press Ctrl+G to group the selected objects. When you click on any object of the group, a rectangle with blue outline appears covering all the grouped objects. Grouping makes these objects to be treated as one, so that if you move, rotate, resize or copy them, it will be done as if they are a single object. You can always separate these objects to consider them individually at any time using the Ungroup option. To ungroup the objects, select the drawing to be ungrouped. On the menu bar, click Modify, Ungroup or press Ctrl+Shift+G keys. Timeline, Frames and Layers. A timeline is a window that consists of many frames. Frames are the small white rectangles that represent a very small stretch of time, that is, about 1/12 of a second. When these frames are assembled in order and quickly shown, it appears that the objects are moving, thus creating a movie or an animation. We can also say that an animation is divided into many frames. The timeline window looks like this. This area shows the list of layers. This area shows groups of small white rectangles. Each rectangle represents one frame. Let us take an example to better understand the timeline and its frames. Suppose a ball is to be moved from one point to the other. It has to be shown with the help of frames. In the first frame, the object is shown at the start point. In the last frame, the object is shown at the finish, end point. In the frames between the start and end frame, the object is moved by small distances towards the end point. When these frames are run in a continuous flow, it looks as if the object is moving from one point to another. Layers are like separate transparent sheets where you can draw different objects and allow them to move or behave differently at different instances of time. For example, there is a boy and a ball, and animation is to be given as the ball is moving but the boy stands still, no movement. So, the boy and the ball objects are made in 2 layers so that they can be moved separately at different instances of time. Animation. As you all know, animation means to show the drawings or still images in such a manner that it looks like they are moving or changing. The cartoon movies that you see are a collection of still images with changing positions on many frames. It can be thought of as if you draw some cartoons at different positions on many drawing sheets. These still images are shown very quickly on frames, resulting to look as if they are really moving, and thus the cartoon seems moving from one position to the other. An important term to be understood while creating animations is keyframe. A keyframe is defined as a frame in which you define a change to the properties of an object. The frame marked as keyframe.tiff below the frame number on the timeline is a keyframe. There are three basic types of animations in Flash: shape tween, motion tween, and frame by frame. A tween is an animation that is created by giving value to an object on one keyframe and a different value for the same object on another keyframe. The values of the object for in-between frames are calculated by Flash. Thus, tween defines a category of animation where tween comes from the words in between. The animation techniques are discussed in detail below. Shape tween. In shape tween, the shape of one object is changed into the shape of another object. However, you only need to draw a start object and an end object. The frames for changing shapes between start and end frames are automatically created by Flash on its own, showing how one shape gets changed into another shape. To create an animation using shape tween, follow the steps. 1. Open a new Flash document. 2. Create a circle using the oval tool. Do not forget to press Shift key while drawing to make a circle. Before actually drawing, select Stroke Color, Fill Color, and increase the width of the stroke to say 6 in the Properties Inspector panel. Your stage may look like this now. 3. Click on frame 60 on the timeline. 4. Click on Insert. 5. Hover your mouse on timeline. 6. Click on Frame. 7. The keyframe symbol will appear below frame number 60 on the timeline. 8. Notice that the object created earlier gets a dotted pattern indicating that it is selected. 9. On frame 60, press the Delete key to delete the original object. 10. On the same frame 60, create a star having 8 sides using the Polystar tool. Do not forget to select Star in the Options dialog box. You can change fill color, stroke color, width, etc. Your stage should now look like this. 11. Notice that all frames from 1 to 60 on the timeline have joined to form one group. This group of frames automatically created by Flash is known as tween. 12. Click on frame 60 in the timeline and then click Insert Shape Tween. Note that on the timeline, the tween has changed to green color. 13. Click on frame 1 and press the Enter key to see your first animation. Smart tip. You can also insert keyframe by right-clicking on frame 60 to open a right-click menu. Click and select Insert Keyframe. Smart tip. Right-click on the small rectangle just before frame 60 to open a right-click menu. Click on Create Shape Tween on the right-click menu that opens. You can click on various frames to see how Adobe Flash has slowly changed one shape into another. Motion Tween. In Motion Tween, the position of an object is changed from one place to another. However, you only need to draw the object at the start position and at the end position. The frames between start and end frames are automatically created by Flash on its own, showing how the object has changed its position. Let us try this out. 1. Open a new Flash document. 2. Draw a circle using the oval tool with these properties. Select stroke color, fill color, and increase the width of the stroke to say 6 in the Properties Inspector panel box. Your stage should now look like this. Note that the circle must be created near any of the edges of the stage and not in the center to see the movement from one edge to the other edge. 3. Press Ctrl plus A to select the entire drawing. 4. Press Ctrl plus G to make the drawing a single object by grouping. 5. Click on the Selection tool on the Tools panel. 6. Click on Insert Motion Tween. Smart tip. You can also right-click on the drawing to open a right-click menu and select the Create Motion Tween option. You will notice that your drawing is now surrounded by a square with a plus sign at the top left corner, and there is a small circle in the center of your drawing. Your stage should now look like this. 7. Click on the drawing and without releasing the mouse button, drag your drawing to a new position. When you release the mouse button, your drawing will be moved to the new position. A new arrow will also appear on the stage, showing path on which your drawing will move. The stage should now look like this. 8. Click on Frame 1 and press the Enter key to see the animation showing your circle moving from one place to another. You must have seen that this circle moves in a straight line. What if we want to change its direction of movement? For this, simply click on the Selection tool in the Tools panel. Hover your mouse pointer on the path created in Step 8 above till your mouse pointer changes to a black arrow with a curve under it. Click on the path and without releasing the mouse button, drag the path to change its shape. You can also change the speed of your animation. By default, Flash creates motion tween in 25 frames. If you increase the number of frames, the speed of the animation will decrease. If you decrease the number of frames, the speed of the animation will increase. To change the number of frames, hover your mouse pointer over the timeline below the frame number 25 till it changes to a double-sided arrow. Click and without releasing the mouse button, drag towards right to increase the number of the frames or towards left to decrease the number of the frames. Smart tip. You can press the Enter key every time you change the path to see the animation. Frame by frame. A frame-by-frame animation is one in which you make changes in every frame on your own. This technique is generally used when a new object is to be inserted in each frame or you need to change properties like color and stroke of your object. Let us create animation for a blinking star or a color-changing star. For this, 1. Open a new Flash document. 2. Select the Polystar tool. 3. Select yellow color for star from the properties and draw a star on the stage. 4. Right-click on the timeline below frame number 10 to open right-click menu. 5. Select the Insert Keyframe option. 6. Select the Paint Bucket tool and change the color of star to pink. 7. Repeat steps 4 to 6 at frame numbers 20, 30, 40, 50 and 60 with different colors for your star. 8. Press the Enter key to see your color-changing star. You can make the star blink with more speed by changing colors at every 5th frame instead of every 10th frame as discussed earlier. Testing and playing a movie. Testing an animation for movie is important so as to know that the animation you have done will play in other movie playing software or video players. To test your movie, follow steps 1. Click on the control menu. 2. Hover your mouse pointer over Test Movie to open a sub-menu. 3. Click on Test to open a separate window which plays the animation. The window shows you how your movie will appear on screen if it is opened separately in a video player or if it forms part of your web page. After testing the movie, you can save it as a movie so that it can be viewed using a video player. Smart tip: you can also press Ctrl plus Enter keys to test and see your movie in a separate window. Saving as a movie. To create a movie of your animation, follow the steps. 1. Click on the File menu. 2. Click on Publish Settings to open the Publish Settings dialog box. 3. Enter a name for the file. 4. Click here to change path of your file. 5. Click here to tick flash.swf checkbox if not selected by default. 6. Click on OK to save the settings. 1. After saving the settings, click on the File menu. 2. Click on Publish to save the flash file .fla file in .swf format. The SWF format can be opened with all popular video players like Windows Movie Player, Real Player, VLC Media Player, Power DVD 7 and so on. The .swf files are also compatible with all web browsers like Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, Opera and so on. Smart tip: you can also publish settings dialog box by pressing Ctrl plus Shift plus F12 keys. Smart tip: you can also publish your animation to movie by pressing Alt plus Shift plus F12 keys.